pupils from a school in Dorset are taking part in a guardianship scheme, which involves them building up an ongoing relationship with a local national trust site. And the teachers discover that, along with learning about the environment, there's much more to be gained from this partnership.
An Annamite, well done.
The Golden Cat Guardianship links St Catherine's Primary School in Bridport and a National Trust site on the Dorset coast. It's a yearly programme that involves the whole school.
OK, children, just put these things in the back of the bus.
We wanted to get the children out into the environment, but didn't feel we knew that much about it ourselves and really wanted to use experts so the children could benefit from people who really knew what they were talking about. And having the Golden Cap Estate right on the doorstep was wonderful.
They use the area to get to know the landscape and the local geography. They get to know a National Trust property. They come out and do repeat visits. So the idea is that it's sort of mutually beneficial between the National Trust and the local schools. Okay, orange peel, tape measure, metre sticks.
They really work very hard for us.
Thanks very much.
And they try and tie in with us as much as they can. They find some fantastic resources for us. And it just makes it all so much more real for the children. We're just learning so much more, actually doing it, than just being told it. We can both get out of it what we need. They want to teach the children about looking after the environment and what that's about. And we want to teach the children the national curriculum.
I'm going to start here where the source of the river is, OK, follow it down to the sea.
This term we're studying water and rivers. The children have looked in books and seen on the internet rivers and their sources and their mouths and what happens to them at different points and what use man makes of rivers. But I always feel it's important, if we possibly can, to actually give them real experience of a river.
And that's exactly the point of today's visit, during which the children will be conducting a survey of one of the site's streams.
But what we're going to do is, first of all, we'll start with group 1, and we're going to measure the width of the stream, we're going to measure the depth of the water, OK, and we're going to measure the speed of the stream. Now, we're just measuring the width of the stream, where the water is. That's it. The width here is 57 centimetres. Right, now you need to put this ruler by 40 centimetres, OK, and then shout out what the depth of the water is there.
5.5.
5.5 centimetres. Now what we've got here on the estate, we haven't really got any major rivers, but we have got small streams. So what we decided to do to tie that in was walk from the source of the stream out to where it meets the sea and look at the stream as it goes down, look at erosion and deposition, look at how the width and the speed of the water changes and things like that. Who's got the orange peel?
I have.
OK, excellent. What you need is just one piece of orange peel. What you need to do is you need to shout start very loudly and then shout stop very loudly when it goes past the 1 metre. OK? OK. Start.
Stop. 3.65.
3.65. Excellent. Well done. The idea was just literally to get the children to follow the source down to the mouth and follow how the river stream develops.
I was really interested in getting them to learn the geography of the river and looking at the geography of the land around and how that influences the geography of the river.
1 metre 28.
1 metre 28. We tie in our 6 visits throughout the year to meet some of those requirements of the curriculum. It's devised between what we have here available as a resource and also what the teachers need, what they're going to be looking at during the school year anyway, so they can relate it back to what they've seen on the trip.
Engaging with the natural environment is really essential, particularly as young people have become so disengaged with the world around us and the world that we live in. And it's really important that schools provide these first-hand practical opportunities for pupils, whether it's visiting a field study centre, whether it's going to a coastal area to participate in conservation work. By doing this, pupils are starting to understand and to appreciate their impact and the human impact on the natural environment.
There's 2 ponds here, okay, and they're formed completely naturally, okay, because if you look round, there's hills all around us, okay, and over there as well, and the water's forming from the hills and flowing down into the low patch here, okay, and it's forming this pond. And this is a fantastic area for wildlife in the spring and summer. There'll be dragonflies and butterflies and all sorts of insects flying around, and then there'll be all sorts of things growing and living in the water as well. Throughout the whole series of visits, there's always sort of subliminal messages and other messages going on about rubbish and waste and not to dropping litter and all sorts of things like that. And also, you know, protecting resources like water, looking after the woodlands, how the area is managed with farming and things like that, and how farming affects the environment. So there's always messages in the background, and there's always other things and messages going on that we try and instill in the children when they're on site. Who can tell me, from the things you've been learning in the classroom, who can tell me what a bend in the river like this is called? Okay, do you know?
Meander.
A meander, excellent.
Getting them used to the environment and how important it is to look after it. And actually knowing what's on their doorstep, because quite often they actually don't go into the countryside, although it's all around them, they don't visit it.
Stop!
And quite often school children from the local towns, which always amazes us, is that they don't come to their local property. You know, they'll travel miles with their parents, but they don't come and explore their local property. Oh, careful! It's very, very muddy.
These children in this class, this is about their 3rd year, I think, going on these trips. So, I mean, they know the woodlands very well. They're very comfortable in that atmosphere, and they're learning things that are reinforced in the classroom.
They get to know the property, which really instills sort of confidence in them, in that, you know, it's not a scary place that they're coming to. They really get to know the place. They get to know the National Trust wardens as well. And from that, they can ask all sorts of questions. And it's that sort of getting to know the class getting to know the site, the repeat visits, which makes guardianship really, really special.
Making a commitment to taking pupils out on a regular basis, and that's really key. Actually, is that outdoor learning and education outside the classroom isn't a special one-off occasion, but it's actually something that is a regular part of curriculum studies, and therefore becomes embedded in the programmes of study and in the curriculum.
Okay, let's just wait at the top of the steps here. The children's response varies, and sometimes we spend the day thinking the children aren't taking any of this in, and they're just here having a good time, which is absolutely fantastic, because they're getting out of school and learning various different things out of the classroom. Going back to the repeat visits, you'll be amazed when they come back out, and I'm always surprised when they come out and they see something else and they know about it and they point it out to me, and I sort of think, well, maybe they were listening, maybe they were paying attention. Okay, so we've made it down onto the beach. So we've followed the stream from its source, and now we've walked only probably about 1.5 miles, but we've made it down to the beach. Now, who can remember what this triangular feature was called, where it comes out? A delta. Well done, okay.
Education outside the classroom visits provide many opportunities for cross-curricular learning, and you might, for example, go to a local field study centre and have the opportunity to look at plants or insects and for the science curriculum, or you might use the area for inspiration for art, or you might look at geography, you might participate in an orienteering activity, or you might look at river studies in ebb and flow, which introduces maths into the equation as well. So there's all sorts of opportunities there for real cross-curricular activity.
This is something that it's very famous for here, okay? It's a fossil. Does anyone know what sort of creature it is? Yeah?
An ammonite.
An annamite. Well done. An annamite. Okay, and they were living here 200 million years ago. Now, I know Josie... The guardianship scheme is fairly accessible to most schools. I think there's about 100 schemes running at the moment. And it really depends on your locality in relation to a National Trust property, and that can be countryside as we have here, or it could be a mansion house, a castle, a garden. All sorts of different properties are running schemes.
If you don't have access to a guardianship scheme, there are many other organisations and practitioners that work in the outdoor learning sector that will be able to provide you with either a facility or an education officer or somebody that will be able to support schools in actually engaging with the outdoor environment on a regular basis.
We've been there must have been about 5 or 6 times now. It's good because we learn about the environment and how to keep it in working order and how to keep everything that lives there safe and don't pollute the area.
It's a good place to do stuff, and the National Trust, who were helping us on it, they sort of work around that sort of area, and so we usually go around that area because they think it's a good area for us to learn.
Children can learn about their environment and how things have changed over the years and what we can do to help, and just appreciate the environment.
The mud made it even better because we got really muddy, and it was a really good laugh because everyone was slipping over and getting stuck. And it was really enjoyable.
It would be really good if we could just learn all the time out there, but we can't, obviously.
So it's back to school for the pupils to write an account of their visit before using their findings of the river survey to design a poster.
The natural bowl. Do you remember you talked about the natural bowl and the water all coming down?
What do you call
The follow-up lesson really reinforces what they've learned in the field trip. So we're just looking at what they've learnt, going over it, making sure they remembered all the words, all the terminology, all the things that happened, why they were measuring the river at different places, you know, the speeds of the river at the different places, why it was like that. It's easier to engage them because they've been on the trip, they know what they've done, they have fun remembering, they have fun choosing the pictures, which also remind them of what they were doing yesterday.
Don't worry, Nicky's going to do that.
You need to know about the stones, don't you? The inside stones are small and the outside stones are large. So you can draw those on your poster, can't you?
Yeah.
It's a proven fact that many pupils learn better by engaging with the natural environment, having practical hands-on experience of it. It taps into the different thinking skills and learning styles.
Children are just having fun when they're outside, and they're not thinking about their learning, they just are learning. But at the same time, they learn everything that Rob and I set out to teach them. So I'm having fun as well. It was just great.